My testable question was, what happens when we mix yeast with hydrogen peroxide? That when we mix 5 tablespoons of yeast instead of 2.5, that it will create a more amount of foam than 2.5 tablespoons. My controls for this experiment are using the same bottles and the same amount of hydrogen peroxide. That when we mix 5 tablespoons of yeast instead of 2.5, that it will create a more amount of foam than 2.5 tablespoons. Welcome to my science experiment. Today I'm doing elephant's toothpaste. For this experiment, you will need some yeast, some food coloring, a bowl and a stirring utensil, a measuring cup, some warm water, different bottles. I'm using these 2 Soda Club bottles, some dish soap. I am using Dawn Ultra for this experiment, and I'm using hydrogen peroxide. And our first step will be preparing the yeast. This part will be taking 2.5 cups or tablespoons of dry yeast and putting it into some of the warm water that we mentioned in the materials. Now, you have to make sure that this thing's flat or else it will work, and try not to touch the spoon onto the bottle. That will cross-contaminate it and it will wreck it. So just be careful about that.
Put more in, honey. That's not enough. That's not enough. There you go.
Okay, and then you stir it with this. Okay? Oh. You stir it like this. Okay, well, you stir it without the stirring spoon, or without the tablespoon. And it needs to be shaken well enough to get the yeast into the water. What?
Are you done?
Yes. Gotten that done, you should probably move your yeast aside to avoid getting it spilled and just free up some space. Next, you're going to take one of the bottles and some of the hydrogen peroxide. You probably don't want to get any of it on your skin. It might harm your skin. And then you pour out in 3/4 of a cup into the measuring cup. Now, once we've got that done, we would pour it into the one of our bottles. And as again, please be careful about it. It might if it gets on your skin, it probably would cause irritation. Okay, now that you've gotten that done, should we add our food coloring? You'd add about 6 to 8 to 12 or 8 to 12 drops. What?
Go ahead.
That's what I put down. Food coloring. In this case, I might just use about, I don't know. I'm just going to use a bit.
Not that one. That's for the other one.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then we stir it, or do we add then we add this. Why are you giving me eyebrows?
I'm watching you. Go, do it.
Okay, well then you pour in about, or a good amount of dish soap. That should be good, right? What?
I'm not saying anything.
Well, you're still giving me eyebrows. And then you stir it. Everything is good. Okay. Now that's all you're going to be needing for the red food coloring, so I'm just going to put it aside. And next, and we're done.
Oh, hold on. Okay, it's going.
Okay, you've probably wondered if you've disturbed the yeast in the bottle. No, you haven't. This is supposed to happen. Go ahead, look at it, and if you feel the bottle, it actually is pretty warm. And next, you're going to take this, the dish soap, hydrogen peroxide, and food coloring mixture, and put it inside the tub. Next, take your yeast and pour it in.
Hold on, Aiden. Hold on, Aiden. Hold on. Okay. Devin, get your face out of the way.
Okay. So, now, time to see if all your hard work paid off. You take your yeast and start pouring it into your thing. And it should make and it should foam up as shown. Okay, I think I used too much dish soap.
Get your feet out.
Get your feet out. Now this should go on for a little bit of time. And
wow, that looks like a
oh, there's my variable. What happens when you add more than that?
That looks kind of interesting.
And it should keep on foaming up for quite some time. If you had a smaller nozzle and you added less dish soap, then it probably would have done a bit better of a result.
It's like a
Variable. Instead of putting 2.5 of the yeast, we are putting 5 different scoops of 5 different teaspoons of this yeast. And we're stirring it with the bamboo crop dip.
Make sure they're full, Aiden.
And we needed a bigger surface this time because we were using more yeast. Oh, we're just barely gonna have enough.
That was 5, Aiden.
That was fun?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then stir it.
Use the stick, honey.
Okay. Done, you should pour your hydrogen peroxide into 3/4 of a cup. Now that that's done, we'll carefully take it and pour it on into our soda club bottle. Now you want to try getting this off your skin, and it will irritate you. And why not add some of your food coloring? last but not least, you take your dish soap and just take a quick
Probably need a little more than that.
and then after you've done all that, give it a good shake to stir all the contents together. So now you will take your two things, the foaming soap recipe and the yeast recipe. We'll take the soap, dish soap one, and simply place it inside of an easily cleaned area. Next, you will take your yeast that will puff up, so over time stir it. If it starts to overflow, you need to let it settle for a bit. Next, just pour in the yeast. Still not a better result. It should foam up for quite some time, but thankfully that you did it in the tub.
Honey, put the rest of your yeast in. That's your experiment, is double the yeast, remember.
There you have it. And it stopped. We added 5 tablespoons of the yeast instead of 2.5. It gave a better result, showing more and thicker foam. It also lasted much longer.